Welcome back into the GSMC Sports Podcast, as now we are, just about out of this extremely dead space. WNBA is at its all-star break right now. MLB is. None of the other sports are playing, but finally the MLB is going to come in to save us on that one, as tomorrow they kick back off. And I want to look into some of these storylines to be on the lookout for during the final few months of this season. I'm looking at, first, of course, the two biggest stars in the MLB in Shohei Ohtani and Aaron Judge, who both have chances to continue to, build on their already incredible legacies. You look at Shohei Ohtani, we'll start with the fact that he is not pitching this season because he was dealing with an upper body injury that has prevented it. Elbow, I think it is. Maybe it's shoulder, but he hasn't been pitching, so he has been just DHing, not playing in the field for the LA Dodgers, and he has a chance to win the MVP award as a designated hitter, which is just about unheard of in the MLB, and that's because he is just flat out one of the best offensive players we have ever seen. And on top of it, the fact that he is able to pitch, I would be the last person to drone on to you about the greatness of Ohtani's legacy. There are other places you can go to really get the overall historical impact of that. But Ohtani, you look at what he's been doing this year, a career-high 316 batting average. He is at 400 on base percentage, 635 in slugging, leading the MLB, and a 1.036 OPS, second straight year leading the MLB in that category. So he is just an absolute unit, and I'm really, really excited to see him finally make the playoffs after years with the Angels and just having not that great of a team around him. We're finally going to get to see him on the biggest stage. Another sort of tied-in storyline to that is, are the Dodgers going to be able to get right from a health perspective? Mookie Betts, who I think was the front runner, betting-wise, he was the front runner for the MVP award when he ended up getting hurt, injuring his wrist. So we'll see when he is able to come back. That starting pitching rotation has been just riddled with injuries up to this point. And, the guys that have been available for them have largely been struggling, as we just saw Bobby Miller get demoted as well the other week, the final week of before the All-Star break. So Dodgers, from a health perspective, we know just how talented they are. I feel like even going back to last year's playoffs when they lost, it was in large part because of the fact that their starting pitchers were not healthy when they needed it the most. And they are still overcoming a lot of those some of them the same injuries, but also when you have Yoshinobu Yamamoto injury flare up and Tyler Glasnow, you don't feel great about the health situation there. That's my number one concern with the Dodgers. But regardless, Dodgers are going to be in the playoffs. I'm trying to see Shohei Ohtani play some postseason ball, so I'm really looking forward to that. But on the American League side, Aaron Judge has a chance to potentially break his own American League home run record. He had 62 home runs in 2022, and he has 34 so far through 98 games played for the Yankees. So he is very much on pace for, potentially having another record-breaking year in terms of home runs here. So have to keep an eye out for that as well. I have a comment here. There's a lot of talk about if NBA/NFL could convert. Do you think MLB could convert to the NFL? That's a fascinating question, actually, that I don't feel like it's been asked. I think the difference with the MLB is that it's very skill-oriented, and it takes, obviously tons of skills, and you have players like Aaron Judge, even like Shohei Ohtani, that could athletically play. It's just, I don't know how well it would sort of cross over to the NFL. That's something that I definitely want to think on more, because I'm trying to think what would those guys even be necessarily? Like Judge, I guess you probably put him at like a tight end. Like the top end athletes, I feel like you could probably find a spot for in the NFL. I don't think it would be quite as applicable as basketball is, but you can probably come to a number of different athletes as well. I'm from Massachusetts. My guy Jaron Duran. Feel like maybe with some of the speed guys as well. I mean, similar concept of you find the open space and you go. That I could see maybe like a Jaron Duran being some type of a wide receiver or running back. But Duran's also absolutely got the legs for it as well. The way that he keeps those things churning when he's running. But it's a very interesting question, actually. But sort of refocusing here a little bit, even though at this time in the sports calendar season, never opposed to some of those silly debates like that. But I think there's a couple division races I'm really looking at. The AL East and the NL West specifically. I think it's a 3-team race in both of those divisions. The Orioles, Yankees, and Red Sox in the AL East. In the NL West, probably having... I think, obviously, Brewers at number 1. The Cardinals are in that race as well. I'm getting ahead of myself here to the NL Central. The AL West, it is the Mariners at the top right now. The Astros closing in right behind them. And it is the Texas Rangers, who I personally am just refusing to quit on at this point in the season. I feel like if they get healthy, then they can get hot at the end of the season like they did last season. We'll see, though, because we're also hearing about the potential Nathan Eovaldi trade rumors and some of the other guys that they could potentially look to shop this deadline. So if they end up selling, then scratch that. But until that happens, and I don't think the Rangers are going to sell the year after winning the World Series, but, we'll see there. But as I was sort of jumping ahead to, I do also have my eyes on the NL Central. The Brewers have overachieved relative to preseason expectations, and they've gotten out to a very nice start where they are currently sitting at 55-42. The Cardinals, on the other hand, got out to a really bad start. They dug themselves into a hole, but they're back up over 500 at 50-46, 4.5 games back of the Brewers. Still rocking that minus 38 point differential, so run differential, I should say. So they definitely have an opportunity to get hot and take down the Brewers, but I also could definitely see them missing the postseason altogether if they are sort of hanging around that wild card spot. And then, do you think that the Pirates have enough to make this big time push? They're building up momentum, obviously, with Paul Skeens. Jared Jones is currently down for them right now, so I'm not really counting in the Pirates, but I more so just want to see them playing competitive baseball through the end of the season. And then, additionally, which division leader has the best chance of not making the playoffs as well? Just sort of looking at that, I kind of feel like you have to go with the Seattle Mariners at this point. The Orioles, they could very easily fall out of the division lead. I do think that they take it home in the AL East, but it's definitely on the table that the Yankees are able to pass them. It's a race with the Red Sox, but I don't see them jumping up to number 1 either. The Guards have a little bit of a cushion against the Twins, but I wouldn't write that one down in pen either. And then in the National League, you have a 7 and an 8.5 game lead with the West and the East, and then we just talked about the Central as well. So maybe you throw the Brewers into that conversation. I probably don't. I think that the Seattle Mariners could be in a lot of trouble. They have been, I would say they've been winning games, obviously. They're sitting at 52-46, but with just a plus 19 in the run differential. They strike out more than anybody else in baseball. They have an incredible pitching staff, but, knock on wood, if any of those players were to get hurt, I feel like you could be in a lot of trouble. Maybe you do see some type of a burst of energy from a Julio Rodriguez, who was playing a little bit better headed into the All-Star break. And you have a lot of solid guys a lot of solid hitters for the Mariners, but kind of not living up to expectations, and that includes Julio Rodriguez for a lot of the year. But, Ty France, J.P. Crawford, not having the years you were hoping from them. Mitch Garver as well, you can throw into that. So I would be worried about the Mariners. If there were any team leading a division right now that were to miss the playoffs, I would probably bet on the Mariners. And then, personally, myself, selfishly, how serious are the Boston Red Sox going to take themselves in terms of the trade deadline? Because they are currently sitting in a position where they have a playoff spot right now. They are not just holding a playoff spot, but are in legitimate conversations for the AL East. Like I just said, I don't think they win it, but 4.5 games back, you can at least conceive of a possibility that they end up taking that division from the teams ahead of them, that they could maybe even finish second in the division would be a massive win for the Red Sox. But this is a front office who has been unwilling to take themselves seriously a little bit for a number of years. They've been doing this kind of BS of buying and selling at the trade deadline to try and convince Red Sox fans that they are serious about it, but when they're really not. But it sounds like the comments that have been made from Craig Breslow, their new president of baseball operations, that they are going to look to make moves. And that is, we'll see what that means necessarily. Is it an end of the rotation starter? Is it sort of a platoon right-handed bat? Anything could help, but it would be encouraging to see, especially as all of their youth talent is finally starting to have some success in the MLB, that there should be prospects more expendable at this point. But let me know what you're looking forward to most in the second half of the season. We're going to be taking our final break here. When we come back on the other side, it's Friday, it's segment 5 of the week. I wanted to run through the top 10 athletes that currently reside in Boston for the sports, because we've seen a drastic changing of scenes with the Patriots kind of falling out of relevancy and the Celtics finally ending their drought since 2008 with a championship. So we're going to be diving into all of that. But first, a quick break. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back.